So what happened was we ended up with all her pets. So because she, well, I can't take the dog with me. So we ended up with getting, too many animals, and at the same time because of that, because that's part of the preparedness,
One of the things I did see somewhere was that when you bring your animal, is bring one of those stakes in the ground.
Yep. Bring a stake that basically you have to, it's got a corkscrew on the end of it, and you want to say, well, it's hard to do. You just simply take a screwdriver, put it in the top, and screw it in like that instead of the little. They got a little handle thing that doesn't work, but this does. You just go like that, fast. Do it. Most dogs can't get. Even big dogs have a problem pulling it out of the ground.
Yeah. Monty's never been on one of those things. She has her own yard. She's actually pretty well trained.
Yeah.
And she's usually on the leash. But part of it is in an emergency, I think it's always better to be more prepared than less prepared.
Yeah.
You don't know what situations you're going to be in.
And because we were a little bit different, we trained cats to be on leashes by taking a cat out in the backyard and attaching a leash to a clothesline. They would run back and forth on the clothesline, and that's without you having to do it yourself, because they did turn around. And eventually they got tired of doing that, and then when you put them on, because a cat should have a harness to go out. A leash is not going to work. You need a harness. Don't if you're going to make a run for it and put a leash on the cat, you're going to lose that cat.
And also, if you're going by water, you do have life jackets.
Yeah.
For pets, and then also airplanes, they have the little.
Yeah, little things, because a lot of
And also for motorcycles.
Believe me, there's more money. Here's the truth: there are more money spent on preparedness for emergencies for pets than there is for human beings, which is hard to believe. If you look carefully, basically your veterinary information, your doctor's information, portable radio extra batteries, pet carrier or cage for each pet, things for basically to set your kids in, like safety chairs, all of that. 2 weeks supply of food and water, non-spill food and water bowls, medication and dosing instructions, first aid kit, vaccination medical records, things for paper towels, toilet paper, current photographs. Doesn't that sound exactly? That's the human stuff. All I did was just change one thing, which was the pet carrier. And the kitty litter. We didn't need the kitty litter.
Well, some of those are really pretty similar, and we've been focusing primarily on dogs because we have Monty Bubbles. Yeah. But there's a few things, and we've mentioned cats. Yeah. But if you have other pets, whether they're birds or reptiles or guinea pigs or rabbits,
then you got to have a cage, a transportation cage for each one of those things.
And a lot of the same things
and
apply.
Water. No, you got to have the water. You got to have the food. If you have, for instance, I lost cockatiels and doves when my place burnt. The cockatiels were all, albino cockatiels, and they were basically god-awful expensive. And you use them for raid, but they all had identification. All of my birds were banded, so everybody would know if they escaped where they came from.
Oh.
And the cats all had their own, the cats all had collars, and they actually had a harness collar, which they got used to wearing, that had a tag on the collar that basically was. Cats don't like things in front of them, sit there and pat them, so it was fastened to the back of the collar, where it was always flat on the back, so it could be seen, but it didn't move, because if it moves in front, they're going to hit it.
Oh, just like a toy. Remember the cat's going like this.
So you don't want to put anything like that. They'll give you the, they'll make these for cats.
In fact, there's a little tiny one.
Yeah.
Right there.
Okay, it's like for a kitty cat. The problem is when a cat gets it, a cat will go like this continually. But if you sit there and say, this is my back, I got a harness, the back is there, it's fit flat on the back of the harness, it basically, the cat has nothing to play with. The cat doesn't know it's there because it's got the harness on. And you only put the harness on the cat when you're going to leave the house for any reason. You don't put it on at any other time, because the cat will simply sit there and figure. Well, cats are basically can condense themselves down. They can sit there and get the thing off over their head and then pick it off the rest of their body. So, and you can't put it on tight enough, because a cat is considerably smarter than a dog. A cat, when it's getting a harness on, will inhale a lot of air. And then when the harness is on, and the harness no longer fits. Cats are very smart. Cats are so smart that cats are more likely to die in an event of an emergency than a dog will. Dog will simply go along. In a panic stage, it will go along. A cat basically cats are like horses. Cats will run to a fire. That horse will too. Dogs won't. Dogs will run from a fire. But cats are fascinated by the dancing flames like a moth. So you have to be more careful. Like with a cat, same thing. Emergency situation, dogs and cats. See, this is little Coyote. It's an example of what happens in Vegas, doesn't stay in Vegas. What you do is you assume this is a little thing. You're going to take a house. Say you've got a house is on fire or something, a big emergency. You sit there and cover your animal's head and go out, and then you just sit there and pet the animal while you're doing it, because it's what they see. If they don't see it, they're not quite as paranoid. Mm-hmm. So that's how you do that. That's veterinary stuff, folks.
Well, and the other part is your animals, they will feel your energy.
Yep.
That's how they know. If people don't like dogs, the dogs know they don't like dogs because they can feel the difference in the people.
Yep.
So if you are anxious, sometimes your pets will get anxious too.
Yep. And just a bad thing that you're going to have to understand, if a situation is really bad, you're likely to get bit and scratched. That's the way it's likely going to happen. I don't pick up, if you got leather gloves, go get those leather gloves on before you pick the dog or the cat up.
And this could be their friendliest dog and cat, but part of it is this is a different time.
They're in a panic.
Anxious, they're anxious, they're
They know you're in a panic, they're scared because you're scared, and when they're scared, a dog and a cat will go into defensive mode. Mm-hmm. I play with Monty really. I fight with Monty all the time. She nicks me when we're playing because mm-hmm. she basically has a good time. But I can imagine what those teeth would do if she was scared. Mm-hmm. Because my father had that happen once with one of our dogs, and we basically there was back in the earthquake time. Dogs really don't like earthquakes, and when the dog cut down on his wrist like that, and that dog would not let go. I mean, we couldn't, it's just like we had to pick the dog up holding on to the hand and take it to the truck to leave, and then, unfortunately it was a rolled up newspaper on that dog's rear end, whop, and, he kept whopping the bottom until the dog let go. But he sank his teeth all the way through my father's hand. This is a dog that was so gentle, the little girls in my family would sit there and go to sleep with the dog. The dog would sit there and go, the dog would never hurt anyone. He was terrified, and he basically, it was the worst bite my father had ever had from an animal. My father grew up around stuff like that too. And it was from a gentle dog that was terrified of the earthquake. And he would not let go. I mean, we had to pick that dog up. My father's sitting like this, I'm carrying a dog, we're going out to the car. And then when we got to where we were going, he still wouldn't let go, so that's unfortunately when it's the rolled up newspaper time on a rear end.
Which is also sometimes when you hear things that happen in the news, and you're saying, well, how could that lion or that cat do that? And the trainer is sitting there saying, they're a well-trained cat, something must have spooked them. And you're going, how could that happen? Well, the same thing with your animals.
They said, like the Secret of Roy thing, the animal, the most gentle, best trained of the cats was doing what a mother does to protect her young. She grabbed Roy by the head, but see, that works if you're a cat. It doesn't work if you're a human. And basically, she punctured his place. So it was dangerous to him, but they didn't, because they didn't put the cat to sleep, because the cat was performing a normal function to one of her. Basically, she considered Roy would sleep with the cats. That's how much they thought he was a member of their family, and when something went wrong, taking him to safety, and and with a cat, it wouldn't hurt a cat doing it, because the cats are picked up by the back of the neck.
Right, but since Roy was not a cat.
No, so she punctured his brain. Yeah. And partly paralyzed him. They all, in emergency situations, they'll all revert back to being what they were. They're all, these are wild animals.
Which is one of the main reasons, like, remember we told you to bring a blanket, and you're thinking, oh, we don't need a blanket. Our animals are fine, right?
I wouldn't take an animal out in a fire without their eyes covered, period. Yeah. Oh, they are.
Which is what they tell you to do with horses.
Yeah, because they're terribly paranoid. I mean, it's just, like I said, I've been bit because you live in California. Every god awful thing can happen in the world. We get floods out here. We've got massive snowfall if you go up north a bit.
We've had earthquakes. You know what happened? We had an earthquake. Monty came in to see me.
Yeah. I mean, we had...
Because they don't know what it is.
We had the huge earthquake a few years ago that basically we had an in-the-ground swimming pool. Earthquake hit and it basically turned the swimming pool, threw the water up in the air. And a couple of the dogs busted through the door on the house to get inside because there was just all this water. They'd never, they'd never
seen it.
I know. The water scared them more than, because they'd gotten used to the ground doing like this. But this was so bad, it just turned the swimming pool that was in the ground. Because that was when they, I think the room 223 or something, a television series with Karen Valentine and Lloyd Haynes was on, and it destroyed the school, it destroyed the overpasses, it destroyed the freeway. And
that's a big one.
They just wiped, took our garage out, took the swimming pool out, and basically the dogs, the dogs are sitting in a corner. And my mother, basically screaming, and the girls are screaming, and I'd get my gloves on and go in and grab the little things and put their harness, their leash and stuff on them and get them out to the car.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I'm not afraid of being bit because I'm a big animal vet. Which means I've been bit by so many things. But there's so much people don't think. They'll do this before they'll do it for their children.
So, what it is, treat your kids like your pet. Well, people can think for themselves. Pets,
they can't.
I mean, they don't understand.
They don't understand. They don't understand what's going on.
They don't give you, they'll give you feedback in one way, but you can't have a conversation.
The smartest pet is no smarter than a 6 or 7 year old, which can really be smart. But a 7-year-old that has never seen something is like a dog. If the dog has never seen your house on fire, they don't know what to do.
They have no clue.
If they've never felt an
earthquake. Just like many of you have no clue what to do other than to get out of there.
They don't understand thunderstorms because there's no comprehension in a dog for a thunderstorm. They can't see it, they can't smell it, all they hear is just boom.
Which is why when an earthquake is coming or major change, that the animals will feel it. And you notice the animals will start, they're anxious, they're not acting normal.
That's right. I mean, the trained birds will bite you because they're all trying to flee. And this, because I know the cockatiels, because the one earthquake, because I've raised birds most of my life, cockatiels, which I raised, you stick my hand in, basically you could put them on your fingers. Little girls would sit there and ride around with the little girls. Basically, I would get pissed because they pulled pintails off of the doves. But they would sit there and them gentle things, but earthquake, they could just simply feel it, and then you stick your hand, oh, monster, it just bit me with a beak. And then another one bites you with a beak, and then, because I had a solar room with an aviary in it, which you basically walk in, the birds are all free to fly in. And then you get out of the God, they're just like the movie Birds. So, because they turn on you. Remember, like the thing is, they only bite their masters.
Ooh.
Yeah. But emergency preparedness means you have to understand that the animals will do things that they're normally not going to do. You have to be prepared for it. You got to be. Don't own a pet unless you're prepared to be bit by the pet. Don't own a pet unless you're prepared to take care of the pet. Don't own a pet unless you're prepared to take that pet with you if there's an emergency. Now, that sounds sort of dumb, but that is the rule of thumbs of being one of the things they say about veterinarians. Veterinarians, those are rules. They tell people continually, are you sure that, before you adopt this dog or this cat that you actually understand what you're getting into? None of them do. So, and then you say, is there an older member of the family that's going to take care of this dog when they get tired of it? So, I mean, I took care of more rabbits than you can shake a stick at from Easter. They give the Easter bunny out, and they would be mine. Rabbits are ungodly bad when they have an emergency.
Oh, really?
Rabbits generally have teeth like this.
Really?
Yeah.